任務を遂行する。終わりだ。
For anybody that knows me, this video has been a long time coming. In previous videos when I mention Makoto, I tend to think that she's a grappler because of everything she does in Street Fighter 3 specifically. Only in Street Fighter 3. I've had so many disagreements that I just don't see, I don't get the points, and I just wholeheartedly believe that she's just a unique grappler and people aren't willing to admit it. I've gone to explore many grapplers so I can kind of understand what makes the archetype unique or how there's a lot of things that relate to the archetype. Looking at Makoto, I'm willing to argue that she was made accidentally into a grappler because of Street Fighter 3's juggle system and the way parries are super important. But I want to make my case on why she's a grappler and how she's unique as a grappler. So today we're going to be talking about that and then getting into my argument. Before that, let's get into Street Fighter 3. Street Fighter 3 Third Strike is a classic that everybody loves, with a 6-button system going from light punch to heavy punch and light kick to heavy kick. It's a very fundamental based fighting game, but it's also super quick. You've got to be on your feet at all moments because movement was insane. You had to understand how to take space and also put on pressure at the same time. What made this game rad was of course picking your super. Being able to pick your super at the start of the game can be absolutely game changing, and it can add a bit of fun variation, like being the player that's known to use Alex's Powerbomb super. And of course the parry mechanic. By tapping forward you're able to parry anybody's attacks and get your own start as they become more minus on hit. And it leads to some of the most insane moments throughout history. Sorry about that jump scare. It's just like, of course the evil moment's gonna be brought up in every video. I didn't want to do the obvious thing. I wanted to do something funny. I'm sorry. That's about all the basics covered, so it's time for the grappler that was accidentally made into one. She's all go and no breaks. Makoto. Like mentioned before, this video is going to have a big debate at the end, but the whole point at the start is the breakdown into the usual stuff. For example, she fights using a style called Rindokan Karate, which focuses on big punches, chops, kicks, and clinches. And one of the defining things about this martial arts style is this clinch command grab that will give you a full combo. Not something you'd usually see in a fighting game, never mind a Street Fighter game. She was a slow character, but she had ways to get in with a lot of pokes and dashes, and had many attempts to go flying at you. Her story is short, but it's kinda bittersweet. When she was young, her father sadly passed away at a young age. Being left with a dojo at a young age and her brother sadly leaving due to pursuing his careers, it left Makoto with a dojo that was not really doing well. Ever since her father's passing, her main goal has been trying to make this dojo something special again. So she figured if she got a bit of a reputation for fighting some of the best fighters, she'll be able to buy equipment and maybe get people more interested in learning her fighting style. So that's what she aims to do, as she beats up everybody in the main story in her ending as she brings her dojo back to its former glory. Like I said, nothing that insane. It's Street Fighter, the stories aren't really that deep if I'm honest, but this one's nice. It's a nice little bittersweet story of a young woman who wants to kinda continue that legacy of her dojo. Time for the toolkit. Thing to get out of the way immediately is the movement. She was a very slow character. In terms of walk speed, she was slower than Alex, and Alex is considered to be the main character grappler, where he's a bit more neutral based, so of course being slower than this is a bit of an issue. And Street Fighter is all about walk speed. Being able to move in and out of attacks is the main way to whip punish in Street Fighter. However, Makoto makes up for a lack of movement with burst movement. A lot like Hisako or Chief Thunder, she's able to forward dash an insane amount of speed, taking up a good chunk of the screen space. Just like that, it's a jump scare Makoto's in your face. This game introduced forward dashes, by the way, so this was a huge step for a different direction, and it's the same for Makoto as it kind of blended into her game plan so damn well. Mix that with some of the air style specials that she has, like this big kick that comes in with an overhead, pretty safe, and her punch that allows her to go flying across the screen if she holds it with the stronger versions, or she can feign it to get in the opponent's head for a dash up. Pretty safe whip punish to throw out there, but if it is blocked on the heavier versions, it can be a bit rough. The movement is surprisingly fast on the burst movement. In terms of normal movement, it's kinda bad. Normals are great for the most part. Being extremely safe allows her to hit these on block and just kinda stagger away. They also allow for nasty hit confirms and approaches. Medium punch and light punches are some of the best pokes that she has, both being very plus or neutral on block and very staggering. What's weird is her crouching medium kick and heavy kick. For most fighting game characters, even the weird ones, this is your low forward that's able to reach quite a distance, and also your sweep for knocking down the opponent. For Makoto, this was different. Her sweep was on crouching heavy punch, and she didn't have a forward that would actually hit the opponent's shin. No, it was a fantastic mid poke with a ton of reach and was very safe on block. And our crouching heavy kick was just that as well. Very safe on block with a ton of good reach and can anti-air on specific angles. Weird normals, but pretty good I would say. And then she had approaching normals that were super unique, like forward heavy kick or forward heavy punch. The forward heavy punch being a bit of a karate punch where it's like saya type stuff, and you could do 3 more, but it's never usually that worth doing. But a single punch is still pretty good. And the kick is a standing low, which is pretty unique for Street Fighter normals. Most of them are mids. It is reactable, but the thing that makes it good is that you can feint it. Makoto is able to feint this and get started into our next part of our game plan. Our command grab is the reason why people love playing Makoto. Our command grab is a clinch where she'll grab the opponent by the lapels or the neck or something like that and kind of go for a quick snap and bring them down. It does good damage and raises the stun value, but what makes it unique is that it gives Makoto a combo afterwards. You can go simple if you want, like a medium punch confirm, but the best way to go about this was your heavy punch. Confirming your heavy punch into a special or super follow-up did chunky amounts of damage and lowered the opponent's stun to an insane degree. This leads to mad snowballs because when you're done with every combo, you're so close to the opponent that you can threaten strike throw again. Street Fighter command grabs never give a combo. This is rare for most fighting games, not even Street Fighter. You won't usually see a grappler get a combo unless they're like a big body grappler in an anime fighter like Potemkin during Xrd. Makoto getting a full combo allows her to control the scenario to an insane degree. Does she want a cash out? Well, she's going to use super. Does she want to set up Oki? Well, she's going to use a sweep or some type of tool like that. Does she want to reset? Well, she could do just that. Point being, she's in full control after the command grab, which is so unique. And our mix-up game got deadlier with a knockdown. Not only was she doing strike throw, she also had a nasty overhead chop where she'd bring it down on the opponent's head. The more reactable they were, the more safer they were on block, but of course they can all be parried into a punish. The best one was EX chop, as not only did it combo from some of your light normals, it was also mad unreactable. Coming out in 15 frames, it was difficult to block this when she had high-low galore mixed with strike throw. You try to jump, I think this would catch you on the startup as well. Having a command grab mix of all these options makes her deadly. And I think she was meant to be designed as a bruiser type like Saw Bad Guy, where the command grab is there as just a nice little accessory. When you're done threatening high-low, you could go for that instead. But Makoto's command grab, coming out so quickly and being unreactable, mixed with all these different tools, makes it beyond a focus in our game plan. She has to represent it as she gets so much. A funny tool she had for sure was this uppercut DP. It's like usual DP where it comes out quick and anti-airs very quickly. However, there's one massive issue. She can't hit standing opponents. She had to use this specifically for anti-airs or combos to get any reward out of it, and it did juggle the opponent for some good damage. Not being able to use the standing makes it a bit of an awkward tool. Super niche, but if you can understand its niches, the praises you'll sing for it are beyond high. Our supers complete the kit. Having 3 to choose from, 2 of them were really good and 1 of them was really shit. First super was just a simple confirm with an awesome animation where she'll beat down the opponent and send them flying, doing a ton of damage. Confirming this after a command grab or a heavy punch or something like that will lead to chunky amounts of damage. But the second super is the main thing worth noting because I consider this the optimal way to play this character. Our second super can be comboed after a command grab after the heavy punch to deal chunky amounts of damage, and not only that, give you a juggle that can guarantee a stun on the opponent, leading to something that Street Fighter should never have, a TOD.
なんか就職活動出かけて、もしくは朝から出かけて夜10時半ぐらいまで就職活動が行われるなど。 そんなに便利な言葉じゃないはずなんですけど、集中活動って。
That's right, Makoto is able to TOD off of her command grab because of the super. And because it's the 2-bar variant of the super meter, it means that she gets a ton of easy ways to build this up, and she gets a lot of EX tools to utilize in her toolkit. Super 1 is an amazing choice for simplicity and playing Makoto to a good degree, but I think if you want to become the best Makoto, you have to use Super 2. There's just one issue. Using Super 2 is difficult. You're more likely to drop the combo, and it's not easy to do. Both with the juggle timing being pretty precise and requiring good timings, and the actual hit confirm from heavy punch has to be on the money. If you're off by a frame, you drop the combo. This super was fantastic, and again, optimal. But the next super is shit. Makoto will power up, like goddamn go angry, go red, and she'll do a ton of damage off of any of her attacks. One issue, can't block. Cannot block, and that is a huge deal because it means if Makoto gets hit once, she's lost a round. I think you can run this if you want to have a bit of fun, but this is not a good super. Like, if you want to just mess about, like I like messing about, I'd probably run this. I wouldn't recommend it. She's built to steamroll off of strike throw and has insanely safe striking tools, which is pretty common for the grappler archetype. She was slow with burst movement and her command grab led to a combo. So it's time for the big debate. Is she a grappler? And I say yes. The best example of this is what I consider to be the most optimal way to play Makoto, the way Tominaga plays this character. Focusing on a ton of strike throw mixed with high lows, plays so aggressively, so belligerently. And mix that with the fact he picks super attack too, which is not common. Not many Makoto mains do this, he does it every time. Shows this is the way to play her, as he's able to cash out on her command grab way more than most other Makoto mains. I think focusing around the command grab and making it a TOD is the way to play this character. And again, it's not common for a grappler to get a TOD off of a command grab. Tominaga plays the character in a way where I would just consider it the grappler way. But now I want to get into a lot of the points that I've seen throughout this channel telling me that Makoto isn't a grappler despite the fact that I think she is. One argument that I see a ton that I just heavily disagree with is she doesn't have armor. This is dumb. This is just a dumb point. Like, most grapplers up until this point in fighting games didn't have armor. Zangief doesn't have armor. Alex doesn't have armor. I don't even think Hugo has armor. Armor is a very unique thing at this point. In this point in time, during the 90s, you didn't see many grapplers with armor. You saw Potemkin and that was it. Whereas in the modern day, armor is so commonplace. Zangief, a character who's all about true grapplerisms and trying to get in Force 50/50s, was given armor in Street Fighter 5 and 6, even though that wasn't his gimmick. Dumb point, grapplers don't need armor to be a grappler. Another argument I see is low health, and you know what, I look at this one and I'm like, I understand why you would think this. Most grapplers and most fighting games during this time were pretty tanky. Some of the tankiest characters in the roster. Hugo is up there in Street Fighter 3 for being tanky as hell. It's very common that most grapplers tend to have the highest health pool, even in weird games like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, a character who's designed to be a grappler but didn't really play like one. Old Joseph had one of the higher health pools. I don't think this needs to make a grappler. There are grapplers for many fighting games that share the exact same health as the rest of the roster. For example, in KOF, Clark shares the same health as everybody else. Jeremy shares the same health as everybody else, and they can play neutral to a vast degree, and their command grabs don't deal a ton of damage, but they get them in. I don't think health really needs to make a grappler, and if we want to get even more specific, looking at Street Fighter 4, El Fuerte had 900 health, being one of the more lower sides of the roster. Everybody widely considers him to be a grappler, so I don't think health matters. One point I also saw is that she can't wall, and I'm like, well, she can. Crouching medium kick, crouching heavy kick. Her light punch is a great anti-air. Her DP is a great anti-air. She can wall the opponent quite effectively. She can't really deal with zoning, but walling and people try to get in on her, she can keep you at bay. She can actually do that and take you to the corner. One point that I saw is that someone said I only think she's a grappler because she has a command grab. And I don't think that's the case. If that was the case, I would say Chip Zaneff's a grappler. I would say Soul Bad Guy's a grappler. Everybody in Tekken is a grappler. You get my point. But it's not about the fact that she has a command grab. It's what the command grab does. On a lot of the characters I would consider bruisers, their command grab leads to hard knockdown. It doesn't deal a ton of damage. Even Soul Bad Guy and older versions of Guilty Gear like XX and Xrd You got a command grab that gave a combo, but you didn't get a ton of damage off of it. But it was a good option worth representing. The difference is, Makoto's command grab isn't worth representing, it's necessary to represent. When she does her command grab, if played in the optimal way, she gets a TOD. It is beyond rare for a grappler. Geef has never had anything like that. And not to mention the slow movement with the, of course, burst movement added onto it. This is very similar to characters like Thunder or Hisako, where their movement is quite bad across the board, but being able to forward dash at mad speeds like Thunder, or having teleport movement like Hisako with the dash speed, you get my point. The movement speed can be extremely slow, but they can make up for it with many other tools, which is what a grappler does. And what do I think Makoto is? A grappler. One thing she also shares in common with grapplers is her defense. She has no form of invincible tool when she's put into the corner, and a lot of her pokes are either stubby on defense, like her crouching punch, or has bad frame data on the startup. If she gets put in the corner and they're walling her, she can have a tough time against speed, which is a common trait with what again? Grapplers? Makoto is without a doubt one of the most unique grapplers, as I believe she was accidentally made into a grappler. I think they certainly wanted to make her into a rushdown, but designing her command grabs with the way juggles work, it just makes her a grappler without a doubt. You want to play her like a grappler. The game encourages it in this case. If you want to be parry, and you want damage, and you want to play with the juggle system, you absolutely need to play like a grappler. So in Street Fighter 3, I would say she had. Street Fighter 4, I wouldn't tempt that, I don't think that, but here she's without a doubt a grappler. And of course her command grab is so unique. I absolutely love it, being able to combo like that. It's fun. It's fun for sure. And Tomonaga is by far one of the best Makotos, without a doubt. There's some other really good ones, but in terms of like #1 recognizability, it's him without a doubt. If I was to emulate any style of Makoto, I'd try copy his. That'll be it for today's grab. I hope you enjoy. Be sure to like, hype, sub, and tell me who I should cover for grab, and tell me if you think I'm a load of shite for Makoto. And I want to see some counterpoints besides movement and armor. I want to see some real counterpoints. It's gonna be it for today's video, and I'll catch you in the next one. See?
Show